Well, you're not going to be here. I don't know what's going on with my. I don't know how many channels I have open. Let's just get going. Um, when I believe somebody messed. Hey, Bill. I believe somebody messed with my setup, but it could be me. I'm on medication, which on the surface of it shouldn't be affecting me, but it really laid me low just now. So maybe my thinking is off, but I can't seem to figure out. There might be an existing live that I thought I cut off. Tried to sign out, and then I just tried to get into another, and the cameras didn't work. So I just started this one. All it says is try. I'm sorry about that. Um, but let's just go forward since the camera's here. And I want to get back to what I was saying about the market. If Railtown has an addressable market over 100 billion in AI as a software, as a service companies, that's huge. But let's ignore that. Let's ignore that. That could be 4 billion in revenue over time. Let's just ignore that. Let's just focus on the smaller one, 17 billion, and assume they get 3% of that. That's 500 million in revenue in 5 years. If we take that present value that massively and say they only get 100 million, that's only worth 100 million now. If we multiply that by 50x, that's a $5 billion company valuation for Railtown, I think in the near future. Is it in 6 months? Is it in 18 months? 2 years? I don't know. But at 5 billion, at 5 billion with 170 million shares outstanding, the company's worth $30 a share at 5 billion. Yeah, you start getting some really big numbers. If you value the company at 10 billion, it's $60 a share. These are big numbers, and they're trying to shake you out because they're in trouble. Now, I think the shorts may have worked. Swell. The criminals may have worked with man. With for example, the Toad, who was a big short in Finger, it looks like the Toad might have been a big short in Railtown, and they might have coordinated. Sorry, I'm leaning back. My gout is killing me, and I think it's this medication is making it really hurt. But I'm doing it. Pain, short-term pain for long-term gain. All right, so Railtown now is trading with a 51-cent bid, 52-cent offer. And the volume is 484,000. I feel ill. I really really do. Okay, so Finger is down 21 cents to 187.5. The volume on Finger is pretty high, 740,000, but it's kind of the average. But I wouldn't put it past the criminals to try to suck you into Finger by selling Railtown. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that for sure what is happening, but I don't trust anything in this market. We're going to get out of this market by being in Railtown. Unfortunately, Railtown has, if you think about it, they have their corporate headquarters, which is staffed by a bunch of people. So there's probably, I don't know, 5 to 10 attorneys involved there. AI Partners has at least 2 or 3 principals. I imagine that's another 5 to 10 attorneys. And then you've got 150 companies that probably have to give various levels of acknowledgement anyway about the transaction. That's probably 100 attorneys. And then you've got regulators. They probably have a dozen attorneys in-house and out-of-house. And then you've got, I don't know, the exchange, the investment bankers, bigger investors. That's probably another 25 attorneys. You probably have 100 attorneys, 75 to 100 attorneys that have all delayed and pissed away time. And now they're rapidly trying to pull together final documents. I don't know. I can't explain it. Attorneys work on their own time. They are God. They are God. Regulators work on their own time. They are women. Hear me roar. In numbers too great to ignore. I just can't explain it. So here we are in a quiet period, and the criminals can keep selling and they can keep manipulating. But that's our life. That's our situation. That gives you a chance, in my judgment, to buy Railtown. You can buy it at 51 cents. I think once finally the MOU that was announced 6 months ago is completed, all of a sudden that's full disclosure. All of a sudden buying can come in. I think the stock goes from 50 cents to $5. Does it happen in 1 day, 5 days, 2 weeks, 5 weeks? I don't know, but it'll happen very quickly. So 50 cents to $5. They want to shake you out. They want to shake you out of 9,346,000 shares because this is the weak hands. They see this as the weak hands. The insiders aren't selling. The institutions who already bought are not selling. There's not many. I think there's 2 institutions listed, very small positions. The companies that are getting involved, anybody that owns stock, they're not selling. Some of the bigger players who accumulated the stock over the last many months, they're not selling. The only stock they can shake out is your stock, and they're trying to do it the best way they can. Make me look like a fool, which isn't hard. I do a good job myself. Attach this in a bit of deception that has absolutely nothing to do with any other stock. Railtown is a Canadian stock. It doesn't belong on the over-the-counter market. The only reason the price is suppressed is because of collusion, racketeering, security fraud, security violations. But guess what? Guess what? They don't care. It's okay in the U.S. markets to commit fraud as long as you're destroying the market cap, as long as you're stealing the market cap. And in fact, it's particularly okay if you work it down to 0 and you can take the money out of the United States without paying taxes. That's all okay. Look at the guy, Kaiser Sose, down in Puerto Rico. He took away probably $500 million from the markets by breaking the law. But it was on the criminal side. It was on the short side. No problem. As soon as he went long and did some trades long, they got him for the Martha Stewart problem. And now he's got to sell stock, raise money. But I'm telling you, the system, there's no relief in the system. Caldwell, whatever his bloody name is at the over-the-counter market, he runs a corrupt market, and he himself is corrupt, in my judgment. Adina Friedman wouldn't know how to run a garage if she had 2 cars parked in it. But she runs a corrupt exchange, in my judgment. Robert Cook is just a waste of space. It's a big space, but he's a waste of it. The SEC is just a revolving door. They do nothing. So we got to look out for ourselves. How we look out for ourselves? Buy Railtown. If you own Finger, if you own G-Bucks, if you own Nixie, if you own Mountain, consider, they're all down today, but consider saying to yourself, you know what? Railtown is cheap. I'm going to move over. Now, yesterday, I was very frustrated. It might have been the medication. It might just be that the attacks just never stop. And the attorneys working for the various companies and the regulators, they don't care about the attacks. They don't understand that many of you are vulnerable because they don't do their job. So these people that come here and tell you the company's worthless, I'm worthless, the idea is worthless, it's just like logic, you better get out because it's just like logic. It doesn't make, or it's just like Tony Brain Dead tells you it's just like Nixie. This isn't anything like Nixie. Nothing like Nixie. And he pretends his opinion has value. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing except he is trying to create fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Why do they do that? So you sell it now. So you don't buy it now. So if it goes up a little bit, you sell it. And you don't increase your position. They want you to be the putzes. They want you to be the weak hands. They want these shares. But the regulators don't do anything about it. They simply do not. It's okay with the regulators for those guys to come on and collude, cheat, steal, take entire market caps, take technologies and business plans and transfer them to China, pay no taxes on their gains. And the regulators, because they are either dumb or they're complicit, they're bought off. They don't care. But how do we get out of it? How do we get out of it? We buy Railtown. We own Railtown. We don't listen to Frank Benedetto's new ideas. We don't listen to Ham's new ideas. We don't listen to anybody's new ideas that involve, hey, the stock, where there's a bunch of guys, there's a short position, and there's a bunch of guys that own all of the short, and we're going to do this and that, and we're going to bring in an AI, we're going to bring in a gold company, we're going to bring in Bitcoin, and we're going to make it squeeze. All of that thinking is based on a premise which doesn't exist. I only found out that it didn't exist about 2 months ago. Why? Because Bill Clinton's administration changed the UCC Section 8 in 1994, which, by the way, is after I went to London, or was that, right at the same time I went to London. So I never really I never really noticed it because I was out being a big shot. I don't know if I can do this. It's an hour and a half. I can do anything for an hour and a half. If I knew how to cry, I would cry because it's just exquisite pain. And it doesn't end. It just doesn't end. But I think it's pain. I think it's pain which is improving the situation, I think. So I just have to write it out. So what's on offer with Railtown is a company which is not finger motion. It is not G-Bucks. It is not Nixie. It is not Mountain. It's not Energy Vault. It's not Logic. It's not MMAT. It's not Torchlight. It's not MMTLP. Railtown is a company which was founded by two guys and others who met about 6 years ago. They both had extensive experience in software development, and they decided two things. They said to themselves, do you remember when we would develop software and the what is that called? The clack horn, the clang, 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 the red alert, the klaxon horn would come on, bang, bang, beep, beep, all hands on deck because we were going to have a software crash. Why don't we fix that? And while we're at it, why don't we make sure that we can create an assistant that not only helps locate bugs, prevents bugs, but can fix software, can install software, and can create software from all sources. It can translate everything, whether it comes from Fortran, whatever. I'm not a computer person, or it comes in a picture, or someone just talks to the computer. Maybe they can translate Chinese. I don't know. Something I have to ask. But they can take all the data in. Let's do that. And then what was their second thing that they decided to do? They decided, why don't we create an AI? I don't know if they use this terminology, but a lot of people out in the industry use it. AI 2.0. Why don't we create an AI 2.0 agent early? Let's do it now. Let's invest the money now. Let's build the team now so that when the data centers and the NVIDIA chips and other chips are so massive that computing has see, now you lost me. I don't know what the measure is of a compute power, but now it's massive. The compute power is now massive. I saw that the NVIDIA chip now does 4,000 times the last one. The computing power out there is massive. So the data centers and the chips can process AI 2.0. What is AI 2.0? I have no exact idea, except for this. According to the Morgan Stanley, a friend of mine at my old office sent me the analyst video, which I've played for you 2 or 3 times. I can do it again. Essentially, AI 1.0 was in many ways about gathering all the data out there. And it's this open source thing. And it's the first iteration that you see in many of your phones and many of, maybe on your refrigerator. I don't know. I don't have a fancy refrigerator, but that's AI 0.1. AI 2.0 is actually putting all of that data and all of that large language models to work in a self-learning environment. I can't do better with that explanation. But in the case of Railtown, very much like uh, uh, Constellation Software, Railtown has focused on creating an AI agent, several of them, that goes vertically into a company. It goes deep into a company's software, into a company's proprietary data, into a company's knowledge and information, not out into the web. Railtown's AI agents are designed to be proprietary, to be in-house, self-learning, contained, and as I've said many times, Railtown's agents are first, best, and in high demand. But the people, the boo birds, come on trying to scare you out because they say, oh, this is Logic. Well, I'll tell you one thing Railtown's different than Logic on. Logic announced that they were going to put 8 companies into their shell to make it worth $1 billion. There's no game theory over in those brains. They allowed 1 company to come in, which I think worked with the hedge funds to cheat. The stock's zero now. Well, Railtown, and it might be an explanation for why it's taking so long, Railtown is acquiring AI Partnerships Corp. 150 companies are in that partnership with the specific mandate to aggressively roll up, acquire those companies. They have $400 million in revenue, reportedly. I saw it on Twitter in February. I took a picture of it, and I'm not going to show you that picture because I think it should not have been put out there because of the quiet period. I think it was an innocent mistake. I don't think there was any bad intent, but I have it. I just can't enter it into evidence for you. But 400 million, just like Logic said, we're going to bring in these 8 companies with revenue, it's going to be worth $1 billion. But Logic only brought in 1 company who I think was in cahoots with Aubrey Advisors, it's my opinion, to kill it all. Well, in this case, maybe what they're doing is they make sure that they lock up the best 10, the best 20, the best 30 companies, so they come out of the gate with revenue. They come out of the gate with the appropriate proportion of ownership, so these criminals can't kill the deal by selling stock. Remember, your regulators, your brokerage firm, your congressmen, your journalists, they're all on the side of the criminals. Why? Because the criminals go to church with them, and it's not called church. But I can't point that out. I'm not allowed to point that out. Not allowed to point that out. We can't point that out. They're all good people. They just met by chance. Tell you one thing: they wouldn't let an Irish Catholic, an Italian Catholic in. So whatever. Of course, I wouldn't want to be in. Wouldn't want to be in. I don't know how you justify that kind of criminality or that kind of greed. I really don't know how you do it. And then nothing's ever enough. They just keep going and going to fill that big hole in their heart because they're soulless, at least at this point in their life. Evil doesn't answer the big hole in your heart, nor do possessions or drugs or girls. Puppy dogs, maybe. Puppy dogs. I'm not sure. I doubt you could have too many puppy dogs or too many horses or too many kitty cats. I bet you could keep getting those and it'd be okay. All right, let's go through some of the prices. Finger motion is down 23 cents. My opinion, the toad sucked you in or tried to suck you in so you'd sell Railtown. Now they're selling it off. It's my opinion. That's my conspiracy theory. But I hear some other bullshit. I think it's all bullshit. Railtown is down 3 cents at 51 cents. Screaming buy. Absolute screaming buy. You're going to look back in 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you're saying, why the hell didn't I buy anymore? That's going to be a $5 stock. Do you have anything in your portfolio that you know with a high degree of confidence is going to give you 10x in the next 2 to 8 weeks? 10x. Why are you in any other stock? Why are you in any other stock? You think Finger's going up in August? You think G-Bucks is going up in August? You think Nixie's going up in August? You think M10 is going up in August? You think this energy vault's going up in August? They need you there to get the stock going so they can get their computers communicating with each other so they can make money. They're not doing it to help you out. I mean, these guys recommending it, they might be on your side. I was told they're good guys, so I'm sure they are. I'm sure they're great guys. I'm sure their only concern is for you. Okay, let's see. Oh, God. I've had gout now for 30 years. More, I think a little bit more than 30 years. I wouldn't wish it on Frank Benedetto or Dan Borders. I wouldn't wish it on these people that come in and attack me. I wouldn't wish it on Saddam Hussein. It's the worst thing. But I think it's going to get better. All right, let me go over a couple of points on, did you get my observation? This is from the website. Their market over the next 5 years at 17 billion. We'll ignore the 100 billion market, leads to, at 3% penetration, leads to $500 million in revenue. And if you present value this, making a wild ass, you ignore the other one, 100 million in revenue at 50x gives you a $5 billion valuation. You divide it by 170 million shares, and at 5 billion, you get $29 a share. And right now they've got you hyped up. They've gotten me angry at, well, the stock's down. It was 65 cents. Now it's 50 cents. Oh my gosh, something's wrong. They don't study any stock. They just come on, they declare that it's a piece of doo-doo, and they don't do any study. Why? Because they're shorting everything. They have a system that works. It's because the regulators look the other way. And when they bring in the Kramer's attorney is the same attorney the SEC uses, the same attorney the hedge funds that shorts uses, and they let them off over and over and over again. Your Honor, I promise I'll never do it again. They don't care. And these are white men, by the way. These aren't women. These aren't minorities. These aren't woke. It's not DEI. But for some reason, the banksters, the BlackRocks, and the rest who push DEI on the rest of the world. Adina Friedman pushes women on the board on every company. But when it comes to the theft of your hard-earned tax dollars and taking the profit offshore without paying taxes and stealing the market cap and putting the technology out for the world and the patents, they just let white men do it. But can't point it out. You're not allowed to point it out. So I did tell you this morning, before I became indisposed, the computer went down, that I pointed out to you, I read the press release yesterday that is bringing Railtown into, I would argue, what's the biggest AI 2.0 market in the world? I don't know. United States, maybe? Is it going to be Europe? Is it going to be Russia or China? Is it going to be another country? India, maybe? Or how about the Middle East? They got the money. They got the power. Water? They don't have that much water. But there's a lot of, they can desalinate water and then reprocess it. Railtown is going into the Middle East, where the governments of the Middle East are dedicating their future to AI. It's great news. But what Railtown is, they think these news stories matter. They don't to the marketplace, because when Railtown announced that they entered into a memorandum of understanding to acquire AI Partnerships Corp, the computers for the criminals, the computers for guys like Andrew Leff and Moez Kassam, their computers start selling. Why? MOU. Sell. Sell, sell, sell. And then in the body of it, it says they're going to, over the next weeks, they're going to come to a finalized LOI. Their computers say sell. Why? Two reasons. One, if the company, the combined company, has to come to market through Canaccord, and by the way, this toad, Canaccord is a front for this toad all the time. Every Wall Street firm under $5 stocks, they all work on behalf of the criminals, not you. So they sell the stock, the toad does, if it's the toad, starts selling the stock through his computers. Down, 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 dive, dive, dive. What does it set up? Well, if they do get the deal done, they're going to come for capital. And guess what? The toad created capital out of thin air. He didn't have to go talk to investors. He didn't have to go on a marketing trip. He doesn't have to share the profit with investors. He just created money out of thin air by selling stock out of thin air that your regulators allow. And Bill Clinton made partially legal. So that's what they do. That's one reason they do it. The second reason they do it, because the press release foreshadows what the company is going to do, because the SEC requires the companies to make their announcements, to telegraph their plans in public. The criminals, they don't have to do that. They can hire people. They can hire research. They can manipulate. They can collude. They can set up computers to sell. They can cheat. And the regulars just don't care. Why? Because it goes to the benefit, it accrues to the benefit of the bigger funds, all controlled by white men. But hey, we're used to having white men run everything, aren't we? They're the slave masters. Got to lay off of them. So anyway, the one reason is when the combined company needs capital, there will be the toad with a big slug of capital created out of thin air. That's one reason. The other reason, which both can be tied together, they start selling to destroy the deal. If it's a good deal, look what happened to Logic. Idiot transaction. Sheer idiocy. But you had a company with 130 million shares outstanding. By the time that guy went through his brain power, he has 750 million shares outstanding, not for $1 billion company, for a $100 million company. That doesn't scare the shorts. They keep selling, and now it's zero. And now the attorneys, who all work with the same attorneys, who all work with the regulators, and all are civil. They don't get upset like I do. They tell the board members, hey, if you want to cover your ass so that you can drive your Maserati, you can have your girlfriend on the side, and you can have your home with the white fence and the 2 daughters going to MIT, make sure you sign this deal. Because even if they come back and sue you, it's your attorney's recommendation. Somewhere along this line, these settlers who kept claiming other people's property, these lawyers and these traders who kept incrementally demanding more, somewhere along the line, they got the regulators and the system to separate the CEO's responsibility to shareholders from the CEO's responsibility to the company. It should be the same thing, but they separated it. So then the CEO has to be responsible to keep the company as an ongoing operation, a la Roy Cohen with that whatever, the GME, AMC, whatever one he has. Screw the shareholders. So the attorneys come in with a big smiles, comfortable, nice suits, nice low-cut white blouse with a blue jacket on. Sign here. You keep your job, you keep your lifestyle. And they all work together in the slaughter. So the second reason they set up the computers to sell when they see MOU, when they see LOI, is to destroy the deal or destroy the per share benefit of the deal. If they destroy the deal, like in the case of Logic, they had 8 companies lined up. They sign up one, the rest went away. They destroyed the deal. And so you 750 million shares for 100 million market valuation, supposedly, it means it's meaningless on a per share value when you went from 130 million to 750 million shares. That's one. They destroy the per share value of anything good. 2, if they can bust the deal, all the better. The stock goes down. It is the winningest strategy of ever. It doesn't require brain power. It doesn't require courage. They always win, except here. Railtown, they're not going to win. But you don't know that yet. All you're looking at is the lawyers who procrastinated are finally getting around to reading the documents and putting together documents to finalize the MOU that was announced 6 months ago. And we have to pay the cost because these lawyers live such rarefied lives. But we have no choice. That's our system. So while that's going on, the criminals come sell. And the same law firm that works with all of this is on the side representing the criminals. They say, hey, we hear it's going to be 2 weeks. We hear it's going to be 10 days. They keep selling. And it's all okay. No one cares. No one cares. But here's the thing. We can get away from all that. Let's not fight it anymore. They have it, but they need your capital. So let's take our capital out of it. Let's take our ball and go home and let them go find money elsewhere. We don't have to be part of it anymore. But unfortunately, for that, I think the next few days anyway, we're stuck in their criminal morass. Railtown, just to repeat it, I think Railtown will be $5. Once it's $5, institutions will come in, and I think the stock will be 10, 15. And if the revenues come through and the multiples come through at any levels like this, at $5 billion, it's a $30 stock. At $10 billion, it's a $60 stock. 10 billion, you know how you get to that market cap? You do 100 million in revenue and you value the company at 100x. That gives you 10 billion. Or you do 75 million in revenue and it's growing and you give it a multiple of 150x. You get 10 billion. That's where it's headed. They don't want you thinking about this. They don't want you thinking about this. All right. What else do I want to tell you? It's 3 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Railtown, the bid is $49.61. The ask is $51.4. And the beat goes on. The hits keep coming. It's down 6.5 cents because the lawyers were dilatory in doing their job. But hey, the future is female. The future is female attorneys. And there's other priorities in life than production. There's other priorities in life than making things happen. So we got to live within that framework. But the way out is Railtown. The way out is Railtown. I just showed you the revenue numbers. You may or may not believe them. I'll go over this research report one more time quickly that came out a year ago. And this is just for Railtown. This has nothing to do with AI Partners. But on July 2nd, 2024, Venkata Velagapudi, CFA, published a speculative buy recommendation on Railtown Technologies, AI Technologies, with a target of $2 a share US. So why isn't it here yet? Why hasn't it gone to $2 yet? Well, this was published a year ago, and the stock in the United States went to 62 cents. And then, of course, apparently the criminals are there with 46 million shares sold that didn't exist. Now, what we don't know is how many shares got offset, how much were netted out. But it's a pretty safe bet that there's at least 30 million, 35 million, 30 call it, shares that are undelivered. These guys are in trouble. But so they drove it down from 62 cents. And as ever, that's been trademarked by Meghan Markle, so I better not use it. As always, when a company announces what it's doing and it has a report like this, the buying comes in and it dries up. And the criminals know all they have to do is keep selling stock that doesn't exist. The regulators are on their side, and Wagner's on their side. Attorneys are on their side. The IR people that come into the spaces with the voices and don't put my effing name in your mouth, all those guys are on their side. Whether they realize it or not, that's a different question. So you can ascribe good motive if you want, but the effect is still the same. The game is all rigged. So what happens, this report comes out and it gets sold off because the selling is endless. It never stops. Your buying does stop. And then there's inevitably delays in getting revenues out, getting contracts, going to conferences, telling the story, signing up people, signing up 5 or 6 enterprise sales. I think that's it. It's in the news. Whether it's 5 or 6 or 4 or 5, you can look it up. Takes time. So the selling just goes and goes and goes. And in the low price stocks, there's no buying. None of the brokers at Merrill Lynch, none of the brokers at Morgan Stanley, none of the brokers at any big house will pitch, will solicit orders for stocks under $5. So there's no buying. The criminals got that rule put in. So they know as soon as it goes up, all they have to do is sell, sell, sell. And then if any deals get done, more shares get issued instead of fewer. So on a per share basis, things aren't getting better. And that's what they do to stock after stock after stock after stock. Well, they tried it with Railtown after it went to 62 cents. But Railtown moved forward, and the stock pulled back from 62 cents. It got back to 20 cents, 22 cents. Because the selling doesn't think, and it never ends. Never ends. And there's no buying. There's no buying. Do you think this guy has a huge following? Venkata Velagapundi? Do you think he has a huge following? I doubt it. I doubt it. It might be a woman now that I look at it. Venkata. I don't know. I assume it's a guy. So what did Railtown do? They went to conference after conference after conference. They started pitching. They made their battle-tested software agent available. And in December of last year, or thereabouts, they joined AI Partnership Corp. What's AI Partnership Corp? A guy named John Ruffalo, a guy named Norbrega, a guy named Core, Dr. Core, other people. They started a partnership with a specific idea of concentrating in Canadian brain power and rolling up, first making a loose network and then rolling up the best of the best of AI 2.0 Canadian growth companies. Apparently having a claim on $400 million in revenue, apparently. So they ran into that. Railtown joined that group. Who are those guys? They're not as old as I am, but they're not as young as Tony. Make sure you have no dinero. They know what they're doing. Tony doesn't. They know what they're doing. You don't think they read disclosures? You don't think they read balance sheets? You don't think they study revenue trends and products? Of course they do. Of course they do. You think Tony's the only one that can go in and find that in every growth company, startup company, there's a going concern clause? You think Tony's the only avenging angel out there? He's just a devil in disguise. But you listen to him, it gets your money hot, gets your money selling. I want to go over and I want to go into M10. I want to go into Energy Vault. I want to go into Finger Motion. Some big hedge fund's buying 3 million shares in the open market. Think that through. Why would a hedge fund buy shares in the open market? They could go to the company and get bells and whistles and control. What? You got to think. So anyway, they joined AI Partnerships Corp. So that was last year. That was 2024. Well, you come around this year and you're expecting Railtown to start booking some of these revenue deals. They're in the Microsoft network 3 times. They're in with NVIDIA. They're in with AMD. They have all these products. When are they going to start booking revenue? And you should start seeing a growth trajectory. But that didn't happen. What happened? What happened? February 11th of 2025, the principals from OMERS and elsewhere with a whole career in software development and finance, unlike Tony, make sure you have no dinero. They decided that out of all those companies that they networked with, the company to be purchased by was Railtown. Why? Do you ask yourself why? Is it because Railtown has better investors? Probably they all have the same investors. Is it because Railtown has a better investment bank? Probably they all have the same investment bank. Is it because Railtown has better attorneys? They probably all have the same attorneys that criminals use. Is it because Railtown has a better staff and team? Maybe. Or could it be the vision of the founders of Railtown to get started early, to start 6 years ago and create the AI 2.0 solution to the biggest problem in the world's largest industry, other than war and I don't know how big the world's oldest profession is, but software is the world's, as a couple of people, Andreessen and others say, software is going to eat the world. It's so big. Well, they came up with a solution. It's AI 2.0 ahead of the game. It's battle tested. They've beta tested it. They've had customers. It works. It's best in class. It's first in class, and it kicks ass. Do you think that AI Partners decided maybe to be bought out by Railtown because Conductor is so good? I do. But that's not confirmation for Tony. Make sure you have no money, dinero. He says, oh, it's high risk, high reward. Oh, I've put out there that they're a good team. When, Tony, did you say that? After you talked to them for an hour and you still come away after talking to the company for an hour and you have the balls to come away and say they're just like Nixie? Guys, you got to stop listening to these idiots. And you might think I'm an idiot, fair enough. But let's get out. Let's get out of this hell. And then you can pick somebody else to listen to, as long as it's not one of these idiots. So what happened on February 11th? They announced the MOU. The selling started by the criminals. And who cares about criminals breaking the law? No one. No one. No one. So the selling came in, and the selling came in, and the selling came in. Why would you, if you're at war with an enemy, why would you tell them what you're going to do? So they can start nipping at you. Why? Because the SEC makes it the rule. You have to tell them. You have to tell them you entered into a memorandum of understanding. It's not final, but then they can start selling. That's what happened. What else happens on February 11th? It's a quiet period. The stock is restricted at Canaccord, who probably is the single most corrupt big firm in Canada. But it's also probably a good firm. I'd say most of the people are honest. But they work with the shorts. I guarantee you this toad works with the shorts at Canaccord. But anyway, everything gets shut down. And the attorneys, well, I can't really say anything, but, Veronica's handling that case, and it looks like she's busy. It's probably going to take a couple of months. So you got some time. Oy vey. Proclaim, or whatever words they say to each other. And they get to work shorting. It's a small club. We're not part of it, but they just start shorting. But the buyers for Railtown, if you look at Constellation Software, over 40% of Constellation Software is held by institutions. Those institutions who know John Ruffalo, who know Omers, who know this space, they can't buy. They can't buy Railtown. It's probably a couple of reasons. Railtown's under $1, under $2. It's also probably they don't know about Railtown. John can't talk to them about it, John Ruffalo. The principals at Railtown and AI Partners can't talk to those institutions about it. Canaccord can't talk to those institutions about it. Why? Because the regulators put a cap on trading in a stock that's in the middle of a merger negotiation. Remember, the regulators enforce security laws for the longs, for the CEOs, for shareholders, and for the bankers and research analysts and brokers. In comes these jerks. They can sell all day long. They can break securities laws all day long. Adina Friedman doesn't care. Charlie Cheese, Cromwell, he doesn't care. Robert Cook doesn't care. They don't care. So they sell. But guess what? The attorneys, they slow walk it. My opinion, they're in collusion with the other attorneys. You can tell me I'm full of shit. I'll disagree. We can't prove it one way or the other. But why the hell does everything get delayed? It's all to help the criminals. You don't think an attorney can get something done in 10 hours if she had to? Of course not. Drags it out for the criminals. So anyway, for the next 6 months, from February 11th, the company has been in a quiet period. No brokerage house is recommending the stock. None, zero. This analyst probably is not even allowed to update his report. Canaccord cannot solicit orders with institutional and mutual fund orders. They cannot solicit orders with retail. Any of the whales and the large investors who back Corey Brandolini and the rest of his team, they can't buy. Any of the big investors, probably including Omers, that backs AI Partners, they cannot buy. Any of the 150 companies that have investors and insiders, all of the insiders, they can't buy. But who can sell? Who can sell? The criminals can sell. They can sell stock that doesn't exist. They can mismark orders. They can say this is long. it's not long. They can move trades, they can collude, they can do it by computer, they can pay offshore trading desks to destroy the stock, and your regulators, your IRS, your Congress people, your brokerage firm simply does not care. And you still listen to the stories? You still think you're going to win? But in Railtown, you'll win. The key is to recognize that they're using the exact same playbook for Railtown, the criminals are, but it's not going to work here. Why isn't it going to work? Why isn't it going to work? I think it's not going to work because the guys who founded Railtown got a huge jump on AI 2.0 with the best-in-class first mover, claim the beachhead, everybody wants it product, conductor. What's the proof? Railtown, the AI partnerships wanted to be purchased. That's my proof. And then AI Partnerships has a brilliant strategy. They're imitating Constellation Software, where they're going to roll up 100 companies, generate revenue, grow, not issue a lot of shares. Tony can't figure out how they're going to do it. I mean, what, you're going to put through the brain of a theater critic how to do finance? Okay. The whole goal is to keep your money hot, moving, scared. Railtown is something to buy and hold. Oh no, buy and hold's wrong, buy and hold's wrong. You got to ride it through here. You got to ride it through here. Once the lawyers, who I think are in collusion with the criminal lawyers, I think it's one and the same. Can't prove it. But those attorneys are doing a shitty job taking so long, in my judgment. There's no need it had to take this long, in my judgment. Of course, maybe it's something else. Maybe one of the secretaries at one of the acquiring companies got pregnant with one of the board members of another one, and there's a huge lawsuit. Who the hell knows? Something's holding it up. But when it's over, it'll be over for the rest of time. This quiet period will be over with. Unless there's a financing. That's possible that Canaccord could be limited if they're doing a financing. But for most players, the quiet period will be over with. Corey Brandolini will be able to talk about the deal. John Ruffalo will be able to talk about the deal. Dr. Tom Core will talk about the deal. Marwan Haddad will talk about the deal. And everybody else's name I can't remember. This analyst will come out with updates, and they'll start to put into the revenue announcements revenue, which they can't talk about. So what's the one thing missing in Railtown right now? Price discovery. There's no price discovery. There's no knowledgeable investors with a ton of money who are able to buy. There's no price discovery. After that announcement comes out, there's going to be price discovery right up the shorts rear end. All right, it's 3:21. I wish I could reach over there. It's very hard to reach over there. Maybe I can do it with this. My foot, my ankle, my leg is killing me. Let me see if I can do it here. I would go to StreamYard. Okay. Accept all cookies. Okay. Okay. I feel like shit, if you haven't noticed. I feel like shit. I feel terrible. It's the medicine, I think. All right, submitted again. That's not working. Okay, let me try it again. Doesn't work. I can't figure out how. I guess I'll have to reach over here. Maybe I can pull it toward me. Maybe this can come toward me and I can reach. I can do that. That works. Ugh. I feel nauseous. I feel absolutely nauseous. Absolutely nauseous. Let's go and see what you guys are saying. Bill Miko is first, my third chance. Hi, Bill. There's Adam up in Canada, Nova Scotia. I think Adam's going to find out, based on the little bit of listening I did on the podcasts from that have John Ruffalo in them. I think Adam's going to find out that AI is going to be an enormous focus for Canada. And there's going to be a lot of money in motion in the AI 2.0 space, both from quasi-government affiliated organizations like NELA and AMII and government organizations. And I think there's going to be a big movement towards AI 2.0 from big companies. So I think the future is pretty darn bright for Railtown AI. Hey, Mark. Serenity now. I feel terrible. Hey, Eddie. Hey, Eddie Rawlings. Welcome back, Jack. People suck. Yeah, like me. Hey, Justin. Hey, Steve. D-back. Dan, you okay, man? Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a complainer, but it's painful. It's painful. But it's also my insides are all torn up by this. I don't know, it's a weird medicine. I can't tell if it's my well, it's different than I've used before, but the medicine I usually use does this, and it's usually a sign that it's over. I'm near the end. But man, you should see my anyway, let's not talk about me. Hey, 808. Pause and take care of my health. I'll. I know from experience there's nothing to do. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. The only thing they could do probably is inject me with morphine or put me on an electric chair, and it would only hurt for a minute and then I'd be dead. Otherwise, I just got to go through it. It's just how it is. Gout is terrible. It really is terrible. But it's my affliction. We all have afflictions. This one's mine. Maybe you should take a break. Yeah, I tried to do that. I think let's look at all the drama. Yeah, don't you love my drama? It's all drama. Drama. Everything is drama with me today. The bid is 50.03 to 56.6. The volume is 500,000. We're down 4 cents. Last trade 49.84. Underneath the bid. How many shares did they put off there? 2,000. They're trying to scare you with 2,000. It's all fake. It's not price discovery. So I wouldn't be surprised in the next half hour if Railtown went green. But we'll find out. It probably won't. But I wouldn't be surprised if it went green. Yeah, hey, Bill. I'll end at 4 o'clock and just go put my foot up. And then when I complain, it'll just be to myself, not to you. And no one will see it. No one will know about it except for me. And you're giving your time. No need to apologize. Priorities. Dan M. All right, Dan increased. Somebody else increased. Somebody else increased earlier. But I didn't write it down, damn it. I didn't write it down. Somebody had a huge position. Oh, no, I did. Norm Frost. Okay, Norm Frost. I did write it down. And this is Dan M. 3930. That's great, Dan. You're going to be glad with that. You're going to be very happy with that. It's a lot. I mean, imagine if you had 4,000 shares go to $3. You don't think that's a lot? I think it's great. Ham says the word on the street is a fund is buying in a finger. It's probably this fund. It's probably this fund right here. It's probably this fund, the Toad. Who knows? Who knows? They have it under control. They have it under control. Everybody needs to realize that with or without AIP, this is a great investment. I think that's right. This research here from a year ago has a base case of $2, a high of $3.60, and a bear case, a low case of 90 cents. And that's before AIP. That's before AIP. This is hell we're in, because it opens the whole field to the criminals. But if you take advantage of it and buy the stock, you will win. You will win. Bull market wants you to move over to finger. I'm suggesting to you that you should not move over to finger. Finger is now $1.87. Totally predictable pullback. Now, maybe finger runs. Do you think it's going to run? And by September 15th, do you think finger's going to run? How high? It's going to go to 3,000? I think you're smoking something. What's more reasonable? You think it's going to go up 10x? So the stock has to go to $19 by September 15th. Railtown will go to $5, $6, $7 by then, or thereabouts, if they ever announce the final deal, which, it's in the blessed attorney's hands. I actually think they'll get it done this week, rather than take the risk that all the attorneys go on vacation in August. My reconnaissance, my my information is that everyone associated with the company is going to be working 24/7, personal bits to the wall for the rest of the year. G-Bucks is up 9 cents. It's the only one green. It's $1.44. I only have 5 stocks on the little running monitor, but that's 32,000 shares. That must be a billionaire in there buying. Railtown is 50 cents to 50 cents. It's 0.5003 to 0.506364. They keep moving it. They want you to think there's a lot for sale. There's nothing real for sale. But this is what the regulators allow to happen because they never enforce anything if the criminals do it. Anything. Brandon, were you mad at our questions? No, I wasn't. I didn't see them. When? Earlier? I didn't see them. The computer kept saying that I wasn't connected. It kept saying that YouTube is disconnected. I'd reconnect, and then it'd say YouTube is disconnected. I'd reconnect and say YouTube is disconnected. I'd reconnect, say YouTube is disconnected, and I finally gave up. But no, I didn't see your questions. I'm not mad at legitimate questions, even if I don't. I mean, the problem is you're going to hear from me if I think it's you didn't put any thought into it. But I don't mind the questions. I do mind it from people like Tony and his shills who come in and say, Tony's just giving his opinion, as if this is a democracy. This is my space. This is my hard work over the last many months, and it's your money. It's your hard work. And these guys are going to come in to get you to go to Energy Vault and Mountain and G-Bucks and Finger, and they're going to get you to move everything over there because they're getting They're getting stock. They're getting stock. But more importantly, the people giving them stock are hoping the company's price runs up. How does the company's price run up? Because you start buying it, you start buying calls, and then the computers, somebody pays $1 million, $2 million to these computers offshore. The computers start buying, and it feeds on itself. And just remember COSM, when it's up, boom, they do a deal. They do a deal. And everybody makes money. The people close to the deal, they get a payout. They get to retire to Dorado Beach or the golf course in Miami. The other guys get their contract. They get to go to another CEO, get another contract. There's money. They get to take care of their family. Fine. But what about you? What about your families? What about your families? It's the narcissism and the self-indulgence is amazing. It's just amazing. Railtown's your way out. And I don't think there's a single other stock to buy. There's people out there that for some reason they buy one of these other stocks. I'm thinking, what the hell? Railtown gives you 10x. Could I be wrong and it's 5x? Sure. Could I be wrong and it's 15x? Sure. But according to me, 10x out of the gate. What's the gate? Does it creak open? Does it go? And it takes 6 weeks, maybe? Or does it just slam open like a teenager running to get into his friend's car? We don't know. We'll find that out. But there's no price discovery on Railtown. They're calling me terrible names, and they're poo-pooing the story. There's no price discovery because the buyers can't buy. The buyers can't buy. So why don't you buy it while it's on sale? And why are you in these other things? All they do is go down. They're so complicated. Well, there's a group and they own the majority of the short. There's a short. Tom Ronk has these numbers. There's a squeeze price, and there's a rumor out of some bloody firm that wouldn't even deal with these stocks. And they got a contract, and but this is coming in, and they're going to acquire gold, and they're going to do this, and AI and Bitcoin, and bing, 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 and it's great. And you gotta listen to me. I've got, I've brought you CNLV. I've brought COSM to you. I've brought all these stocks to you. I got more. You got, but wait. Before you buy this Ginsu knife, you got to listen to more. I've got a Ginsu fork and a Ginsu spoon, and I've got, just keep buying. I just got to respond to a text. I've got to complain. I've got to be a crybaby. I've got to live my own truth. It's my truth. Hey, Jack Hamilton, thank you for your time. William, not scared and agree. Railtown is the way out. I agree. But by the way, Jack, if I'm lucky, this will start feeling better tonight or tomorrow morning. But the guy that got the medicine for it told me it might take 2 weeks. But hey, you pay your ticket, you take your chances. Justin Babish, the investment fund of me, myself, and I is definitely invested for the long term. Good for you. Look, here's the risks we run. We have to be aware of the overall market. We're long in the tooth in the secular bull market. We have to be aware of that. And secondly, all technologies go through mania phases like the dot bombs, but some survive. So we got to be aware of those two background items. And then the other thing, Justin, which I hate to emphasize, is if there's a short squeeze of some kind, we got to be careful. As an example, I understand one of the people close to the numbers with the short squeeze put out a hypothetical. What if the Railtown goes to $8, $7? And it's so rapid, it must be short covering. Well, the problem is, if you sell there, here's the problem, Justin. All of those institutional buyers that many of them cannot buy stocks under $10, under $7, under $5. More have a limit. A few of them have limits that are lower than that. But as soon as it gets to $5, $6, $7, $8, they don't care about the short squeeze. They don't care about the short squeeze. They're going to buy, and they'll take your stock if you sell, and you might not be able to get back in. So, Justin, it may be a situation. Garsha Vega. I don't know what to do. Cut it off? Should I just cut it off? It's punishment. It's something I did when I was young. I don't know what. It's just punishment. So anyway, You don't want to be in a position where you sell it trying to get a quick profit and hoping to buy it back. And stronger hands might come and buy it all the way up to 15. You don't know. So I think it's going to be tough. I personally think that I hope there is no short squeeze, but if there is, I hope it's well organized. It doesn't go very high. Remember another thing, Justin. Let's just say somebody comes in and says, we'll buy the company for 20 billion. I'm just making it up. Somebody says, we'll buy the company for 20 billion and we'll give shares of Intel to buy it at 120, 20 billion, 110, $120 a share. Remember, if you haven't sold your Railtown, short-term or long-term, if you haven't sold your Railtown, you're not paying any capital gains. So conceptually, if somebody, let's say the stock's trading at $25 and somebody came in and offered $120 to buy it out, it goes to the board says, well, we'd like more, but that's hard to turn down. And they do it, and you get stock in, let's say, an Intel, you don't pay any capital gains. So the bump up in the example I gave of basically 5x, 4 to 5x, occurs without having to pay any capital gains. It's one of the last ways that you can compound your net worth growth without paying taxes in the compounding. Of course, if you sell Intel, in my example, you got to pay your capital gains. But there's a lot of reasons not to turn Railtown into hot money. And I know, Tony, make sure you have no dinero. Dinero makes fun of me. And he's all, oh, he's so reasonable. I know I'm not. I know I'm unreasonable. But damn it, my foot hurts. Now they've got it 49 cents to $49.99, while the attorneys take their sweet ass time doing the work they should have done 2 months ago. Again, that's my opinion. I have no idea what's going on. Maybe in the background, Katy Perry and Pierre Castro are going to go join the board of Railtown. I don't know. $49 to $49.9. But hey, the attorneys, we're doing our best. We're trying to be thorough. Why didn't you do it last month? Well, I had to take my son to summer school, and I'm vacation, and it's been a long year, and we'll get it done. I'd fire them all. But then who do you go to? You have no choice. So it's 49 cents to $49.99. They keep showing 20, 38, 54,000 for sale. Let me ask you this. If you really had that stock for sale and the bid is 49 cents and you're offering $49.85 for 8.008 of a penny, wouldn't you just hit the bid? You would if you really were selling stock. They're trying to scare you. They're trying to make you not buy. And I hope some of you were buying. Danny, we need some energy here. Hold strong. I'm trying to give it energy, but I guess my energy is negativo. I guess I'm giving negativo energy. Pete the Greek. I hope this doesn't turn into a fuck all short play. It's not going to. It is disheartening, Pete the Greek. I can't overstate, what's the word? I can't ignore your feeling. It is disheartening. It will not turn into another short pay. Why? The revenues are real. The revenues are real. I use 200 million up here. Make that 100 million and make it 50 times instead of 25 times. You still get to $30 a share. Make it 50 million in revenue. You get to $15 a share. Pete, the difference, the horrible limbo we're in is the attorneys didn't do their job. And they're doing hurry up now. That's my opinion. I could be wrong. But they didn't do their job. They should have had this done. I've had one attorney. He always got things done overnight. He was great. But my other attorney, take weeks. And it was always last minute when she got it done. Always last minute. 4 a.m. Hey, we got to get this done. Why didn't you get it done 3 weeks ago? We got to do it now. The judge, I got to get it in. All right, let's do it. What do you need? That's what I think's going on. So, Pete, this thing you hate, this disheartening thing, I believe is because the attorneys suck. But you need them. You know, it's not like that's unique to Railtown's attorneys. That's all attorneys. They're so delay, take time, self-important. You know, it's a nightmare. And each one has their own personality. Each one you got to listen to their jokes or listen to they went to Harvard or listen to the 428 problem or listen to their advice. It's mind-numbing that they don't get it done. But Pete, the thing is, that's the only reason the stock's down here, is they have not finalized the document. As soon as they finalize the document and get all requisite approvals and signatures and people on holiday to give it their blessing, Pete, at that time, the company will be able to put out that the deal is finished. And there's two aspects you're going to find out, in my judgment. Number one, it wasn't very dilutive. Tony, to make sure you don't have any money, dinero, wants you thinking it's going to be very dilutive. I don't think it's going to, but we'll find out. I just don't see it. And then secondly, they'll be able to talk about revenue. They've already announced 4 or 5 revenue deals, but they couldn't zip on the revenue because it's in a quiet period and because the attorneys are behind the 8 ball because they procrastinated and they're now racing. The phone lines are probably burning back and forth, back and forth. The ticker, the ching ching is running. But come 5:30, she's got to be home. She's got to pick up her son, get home, and they'll start the next morning at 9:30. There's no staying late. There's no staying till 1 a.m. and getting in at 5 a.m. Not for her. She's too important. That's my opinion, Pete. But once that's over with, you're going to see 2 things. You're going to see the deal's done and everybody's in it. It's a great transaction. I think it'll be a kick-ass transaction, and I think it'll be great for shareholders. You're going to see that, number one. Number 2, I think you're going to see revenue. And once the revenue starts, it's going to be like when you go out drinking and you didn't take a piss, and then finally you got up and took one, and then you've got to go 3 or 4 times more in the next 40 minutes. That's how revenue is going to come out. Like a drunken sailor. It's going to just come out and come out and come out. And I think Railtown is nowhere. They're doing the same tricks. They are doing the exact same ploy. But it's not going to work. Yes, Pete, it's disheartening right now. It feels that way. And yesterday you saw me angry about it. Today I guess I'm still a little angry, but I'm trying to be better. It's down 49 cents. This is a stock that went to 69 cents. And because the attorneys, at best, had other better things to do, at worst, they procrastinated, the stock's down 30%. But you know what, Pete? Nothing goes straight up. Pulling back is good for the ultimate move. The problem is it's all fake. It's 521,000 shares. I bet 350 to 400,000 shares are fake. Maybe more. And what they want, they want your stock. They want your stock. 9,346,000 shares. They want your stock. But anyway, Pete, it is not only disheartening, it's frustrating, and for me, it infuriates me that you guys have to go through this. But just hang on. When the deal finally gets completed, and I think you can tell by yesterday's press release, that's where we're headed. The two companies co-announced, and then they did a deal in the Middle East together. I think it's pretty clear where we're headed. It's 49 cents to 49.76, and they're showing 50. They're showing 8. They're showing 58. Showing 8. Showing 58. Different prices of 58. Trying to get you to think there's a lot for sale. They're now showing it at 49.45. They could hit it for less than half a penny cheaper. They could hit the bid, but they don't, because they don't really want to sell. They just want you to think there's a seller. Just stay with it, Pete, and you're gonna feel so happy. The only regret you're gonna have is you didn't buy more. That's the only regret. People here can buy hundreds of thousands of shares at 50 cents. In 6 weeks, 9 weeks, you might be able to buy 2,000 or 3,000 shares at $15. I'm making up numbers, but you get my point. But everyone gets nervous now, and they don't recognize the opportunity. The opportunity is load up the boat. These guys think they can still win here, Pete. They can't win. They got a brain the size of half a hollowed out pea. Hawaii is 100% Railtown. We got 5 minutes to go. So it looks like my projection of green is going to be wrong. We're down 5 cents, 49 to 49.53. And I guess the attorneys are working, they're just getting their job done. They're so good. They're so talented. I'd hire those attorneys. Ditch the meds and cut off my foot. Drink cherry juice. Sounds crazy, but it worked. Worked wonders for a friend of mine. Norm, I bought a bunch of cherries. I'll do that. But I've been eating cherries for the last 2 weeks. And I think cherry juice works. I just think I'm in an advanced stages. You know that gout is progressive. I don't know if gout, if your system gets worse and worse, or if it's just the fact that you ignored it, but it is progressive. So I think the first 2 or 3 times cherry juice might have worked miracles, but I've probably had 100, 150 gout attacks in my lifetime. And they can get really bad. This one's actually not that bad, even though you've seen me complain. Right now, the pain is constant, but it's not that sharp. When I complain is when the pain gets so intense. But it's like, what do you call it? It's like the throbbing, when it's not exactly what's happening, but it's a little like throbbing pain. When it goes away, it's still there, but it's not as painful. Anyway, the stock, we got 3 minutes to go, 49 cents to 49.44. Why the hell wouldn't you hit the bid? You're trying to say 0.0044? This is all fraud. Now they broke the bid. And the SEC's too stupid to see collusion. So they did 2,500 shares at 48.74, 500 shares at 48.88, and now they did 8,920 at 48.74. Why do they wait till the end of the day to sell? SEC doesn't care. I'm telling you, they're so corrupt. They're so corrupt. 8:08, I don't need to be here. Thank you. I'll leave in 2 minutes or so. I'll leave. Take care of yourself. Thank you. Send some positive vibes. I'm being too negative. Railtown is going to be fine. Railtown is going to be just fine. Any day, any week, any month, the attorneys will finally finish. But until then, it's hell. G-Bucks is up 10 cents. Let's see the volume. Massive volume on G-Bucks. There must be a billionaire in there buying. It's 35,000 shares today, and it's up 10 cents. It's just massive. There's probably a billionaire in there buying G-Bucks. Railtown is being destroyed. It's down 10%. At 48.5, we got a minute to go. 48.5 to 49.49, and it's just attorneys. That's all it is. It's just attorneys. You ever gone on a date with your girlfriend, and everybody's there, everybody's having fun, and she's in the powder room, putting on her face. And it takes 45 minutes, an hour, and you're like, can you just finish? We're ready. No, you got to wait. And then your brain starts thinking, I wish I'd just gone by myself. That's kind of what happens here with Railtown and the attorneys. They've got to be thinking, I wish we had just filed the paperwork on our own. It closed at 48.5, down 5.5 cents, down 10%, 573,000 shares. The last trades were 1,500 at 48.5 and 2,500 at 48.5. And why would they sell at the very bottom? Why? They had all day to sell it higher. Why? They had to be out. They just want to scare you. It's going to be fine. Railtown's going to be fine. Problem is, the lawyers put us through this because they procrastinated. That's just the facts, and we have to live through it. We have to take it like adults. Bull market, I agree. John, you should give Mark Cuban a call. I don't know Mark Cuban. I don't think he'd talk to me. Hit the like. Maybe if I became a Jew, I'll be in the club. Well, that's the problem. When I point a characteristic out, I'm not trying to blame a whole religion or a whole culture. I'm just saying there's probably 20 to 50 guys doing this. And they have certain characteristics. That's all I'm saying. But out of how many in the world? 12 million, 20 million? You can't condemn the whole culture. It's not fair. It's all a controlled covering, Finger and G-Bucks. I agree. I think Finger's totally under control. I actually think that Finger had Finger taken a deal. I think these guys were running it up a couple of months ago, and Finger probably could have crossed new stock, and brought in 30 or $40 million, I actually think it wouldn't have been a bad idea. But then if I'm right on that, these guys are left with a large position to cover, so they run it up again, just a la GME. They run it up to 250, everybody gets sucked in, and they sell it back down. They start, it's the same pattern. So look, I'm not saying that Ham and Frank aren't working for you. I'm sure their first thought every morning is you. But on the other hand, how many times does it have to be the same pattern that we say, screw it? Maybe one of them will be the one that works, and it'll probably be the one that after I leave, the next one will work. I raised money for a company that drilled what they call reef wells, reef, REEF, and literally back when there was a beach, there were coral reefs, and the oil collects in the trap over eons, and the trap is the coral reef. So you've got layers and layers of sandstone or other things, and the oil and the water and the gas migrates, and it gets trapped in the reef. And the calcified sand or rock around it. We raised the money. It was a great company. We were supposed to make a good commission. Of course, my associate just left it to the CEO to fill it in, and he didn't pay us anything. So we really didn't get any payout. And had it worked, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. But the company drilled 8 or 12. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's like, call it 8, call it 12, doesn't matter. So the investor had to participate in, let's call it 12 reef wells. Well, each one is distinct. So if you hit one, there's no guarantee you're going to hit the next. And if you don't have your seismic correct, if you don't have your adjustments in the echoes or whatever, well, after the 12th well, if they participated in the 13th well, they'd be in for, I forget, 30 or 40 wells. And we had a pretty good piece of it. So guess what? The first 8 or 12 wells, one of them gave a show, but they all were dry. They were all non-commercial. So the investors said, you know what? We're not going to do it. The next well hit, and the whole next series of wells, the next 24, 35, 6 wells, all worked. But our investor decided to drop out, so we were out. And that's the situation. The thing that keeps you in listening to the stories is, if I stop playing, maybe that next one's going to work. They're not going to work. In total, they're not going to work. Maybe one does. But what's your edge? What's your edge? You got some guys that come into my idea, in this case, Railtown. It's your idea. I'm not trying to take credit, but this is what happens. They see something working. They come in because they want that equity. They need that equity to steal it, to get the stock going up, to get an investment banking deal so their families can eat. What about your families? But what's the edge? Your edge is you listen to a call and they come out and they say, hey, there's a fund buying, or hey, there's a billionaire buying. Hey, they're going to come in with Bitcoin. Hey, they're going to work with some whales and it's going to trigger a short squeeze. And what's your edge? What's your edge? Other than hope and gambling and maybe it squeezes, and then it squeezes. What's your edge? How do you know where to get out? The answer is you don't have any edge. And each stock has probably as low as 5% chance of working. And just because you went through 5 stocks, the 6th stock has a 5% chance of working. How many of these disasters do we have to participate in when you can recognize that the odds that it's going to work is less than 5%? What's your edge in Railtown? I think your edge in Railtown is, I actually think somebody out there was praying, because I think the idea and the opportunity came by more than serendipity. And what the edge is with Railtown is that the company, which is great on its own, walked right into a merger with the Omer's guys, the Constellation Software guys. And one of the greatest business plans you can ever think of. Instead of rolling up mature, tiny software companies, they're going to roll up rapidly growing companies who can be huge. And so we're just being tortured by the attorneys. I think they get pleasure out of it. I think they're trained to do it. I mean, we can look at the good side of it. By the time they're finished with the documents are on them. They're not on anybody else. So it should be lawsuit proof. So that's good. They should be substantial documents that we can stand on. But your edge with Railtown, we're in a quiet period for 6 months. So you know that there's no buying by institutions, by wealthy individuals, by insiders, by all manner of entities, from family offices, mutual funds, etc. There's no buying. There's no solicitation to buy. There's no research. That's one edge. You know that. You know that. You know it's going to come once it comes out of the quiet period. The frustrating thing is, because the quiet period has gone on for 6 months, it feels like it could go on for another 6 months. That's human. That's human experience. But the fact is, the quiet period could end tomorrow. It could end tomorrow. It could end Friday. I don't think they're going to, yesterday I was saying it would go to September. That's my professional experience, is that everybody goes on vacation for August. Money goes on vacation. But I don't think that's going to happen here. In fact, I think they're going to get it done this week. But, you're dealing with attorneys. They think differently. Their priorities are different. Their priorities are totally different. So, but one of the advantages we have is, once the deal is announced, we're going to have price discovery. And what's missing in this stock when I talk about price discovery? Selling? Selling is not missing. Selling's coming from the criminals, non-existent shares. What's missing is buying. So that's one of our pieces of information that gives us an edge. The second thing that gives us an edge, AI 2.0. I've shown you everything from James Altucher to Morgan Stanley to some research to studies that show that money is going into AI 2.0. The data centers are being built, and NVIDIA and others are building the computing capacity. And so AI and governments are going into it. So AI 2.0, according to James Altucher, is going to make crypto look like a ripple. AI 2.0 is in its first inning, according to James Altucher. So that's another bit of edge we have. We know, or at least think we know, that AI 2.0 has only just begun, and there's going to be a lot of capital coming into the space. What's our other edge with Railtown? I think it's revenue. They've already announced their participation in many of these conferences. They've given you their presentations. They've already announced several revenue deals. They've announced the commercialization of lane tracks and rail tracks and this other thing that's a screen. They've made it clear that their strategy was to be early and be battle tested and be the best and be first. So I think revenue's our other edge here in Railtown. So when you sum it up, when you sum the whole picture up, number one, Railtown shouldn't be trading at 60 cents. It shouldn't be trading at 50 cents. But it is. It won't be. The reason it is the lawyers are taking forever. That's my judgment. It could be something else. We'll find out. But it'll end. It'll end. Secondly, AI 2.0 is gigantic and transformative, and we're only in the beginning stages. And thirdly, Railtown. Railtown is in the commercialization stage. They're in the revenue stage, and it should ramp up quickly, and the multiples are there. And the companies are buying AI 2.0 all over the place. So I think our edge is we're in the right space. We're in the right company because of its product and the team and the revenue. And we're the 1 out of 99 times that the shorts aren't going to win. They think they are. They're doing everything the same way they always do it, but they're not going to win. So all of those advantages, I mean, today you could have bought as much stock as you wanted under 50 cents. Tomorrow, I don't know. Will they get it lower? Yeah, I guess. Maybe if the attorneys delay and delay and delay. Remember, attorneys' workmanship is so important. So important. And phones can ring and fax machines and computers, but there's no hurrying up an attorney because her work doesn't stink. It's so important. But we just have to wait, and that's our opportunity. That's our opportunity. I don't think it's going to take until September, which is what I was saying yesterday. I think I'm blending something else that I've been working on in my thought process. Also, I had started taking this medicine, and I was intemperate. I think they'll get it done this week. But I've been wrong before. I wish I had money. I'd buy 100,000 shares, but I don't have them. I don't have money. If I had the money that I should have had from my house, I'd buy 1 million shares. But that went to a developer. I have 2 going. I don't intend to have 2 going. But Mark, earlier, the computer kept saying I'm disconnected from YouTube, I kept going in, disconnected, going in, disconnected, going in, disconnected, going in, disconnected. And then I ended it. And then I turned it all off. And then a little while ago, I came live, and the cameras wouldn't work. So I tried it again. And so I'm sorry. I don't know. I didn't intend to have more than 1 live, but I think people are interfering with my broadcast, or I just don't know what I'm doing. Could be that. Tart cherry juice is anti-inflammatory. Okay, I'll do it. Giuseppe said he got deleted. I didn't mean to delete. I didn't mean to. Get blood work done and get results to a good doctor and heal you holistically with diet and supplementation. Finding a good doctor. I had a great doctor. He retired, and I was given to his associate who was great, but then he joined the concierge system. So now I have a nurse practitioner, and she's pretty good, but she does everything by the book. I like her, but it is hard to find a doctor. You know, where it's really hard to find a doctor is in Gaza Strip. So we complain, but I wouldn't want to be a child or a woman in Gaza Strip, seeing my muscles strip away, my health fade, and there isn't a doctor allowed in by that murderous, genocidal government of Israel. So anyway, we're lucky to have the coverage we have. All aboard. Yeah, I've had my blood work done. I'll have it done again. I'll go again. I'll do it. Maybe they can take a slice of my brain, figure out what's wrong with me. Tart cherries, particularly Montmorency varieties, contain compounds like anthocyanins, which may help reduce, uric acid levels in the blood. High uric acid is the problem. You're right. You're right. I think for me, getting angry, stress, those things make it come on. Tart cherries are rich in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds, which may help mitigate. Yes, I think you're right. I'll do it. Choose an unsweetened tart and hope she doesn't call you back. Over sweetened varieties, as added sugars. Oh, yeah. It's not just the sugar, it's things like, the corn fructose, the fructose syrup, corn syrup. And actually, apples have a lot of fructose. Bill Mico. I spoke to one of my many attorneys to work through my forensics business about this deal. He mentioned, depending on how AI Partners is structured, it could take a year for a deal to settle. The bells, the bells, the bells, the bells, the bells. I hope not, Bill. I don't think it's going to take a year, but that certainly would explain, and maybe I'm being too hard on attorneys, maybe that would explain why it's taken 6 months so far. So maybe I've been unreasonable. Maybe they've been working hard all along, and it's just a complex transaction. That could be. I think when it's finally done, it's going to kick ass, and it's going to be worth the wait. And I think then you guys won't need me. I think you'll see the magnitude of the transaction. That's my opinion, because all the information's out there. You just have to have faith that that information is good, which I do. It's all in the press releases and the filings. But the thing is, your experience is hot money. It's the shorts. It's the criminality, and they count on that. And I don't help when I get upset. I understand that, because my getting upset doesn't put everybody in the right frame of mind either. But hey, I'm only As my sister always says, you're only one human. If 100 companies are involved with each having its own president, they all have to agree the deal. If one person doesn't, it causes delays or even death of the deal. I would guess, Bill, but you're right. I don't think they're going to acquire all of the companies out of the gate, but I do think that they probably had to write in a first right of refusal to acquire all the companies. So I agree with you. If there's 150 signatures needed and board approvals from 150 companies and legal teams from 150 companies and lawyers that have to prove they went to Harvard from 150 companies, that could explain the time. But I think I don't see any reason why any of those companies would not sign some sort of right of first refusal to remain part of the network, because it's not that restrictive. They could still go shop themselves and get the highest price possible, but then they just have to turn to Railtown and say, hey, we're Joe Schmo AI, and we just have an offer from Betty Lou AI, and they're going to buy us for $1 billion. Are you interested? And the only thing would be that then Railtown say, yeah, sure, we want to buy you. We'll pay you $1.2 million. And then they go back to the other group and they say, well, we'll pay $1.3 million. And I don't see that they wouldn't sign something like that, depending on how it's worded. I do think you have a valid point. Your attorney has a valid point. I think they would try to lock up the top. I've been saying it for months now. I think they'd try to lock up in like an option or a pre-agreed deal, the top 10, the top 20, the top 30 companies, because they're going to want to come out of the gate with that revenue so the criminals can't destroy the company on a per share deal. But I don't think if one says no, that would kill the deal. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. It's already a law of large numbers game, and they brought together 160 AI companies with the mandate to aggressively acquire the ones they wanted. And I bet in their thinking, they presumed they wouldn't get them all. So I don't think if one says no, it's going to kill the deal by a long shot. I think the deal is really Railtown acquiring AI Partners. AI Partners is a network. If one or two of the people in the network don't want to go along, well, don't go along. They'll go with the other 148 of them. So I don't think that one or two companies can kill the deal. The AI Partners is really John Ruffalo, the Norbrega guy, and Dr. Tom Core, the IBM guy, the young kid guy. So I don't think it's going to take much longer, but it's a valid point that your attorney makes, that maybe I'm being too hard. Maybe it was just a bloody complicated process, and it's just hell getting it finished. Could be that. Brandon Neely, yesterday's announcement sounded more like Railtown was partnered with AI Partnerships, not purchasing them. I don't know that that's true. Certainly it was written as if they're partnered because they haven't finalized the deal. But what does that mean, Brandon? What does that mean? If they just work together, Is that bad for us as shareholders of Railtown? I don't think so. I think either structure is good for us because they're going to license. The key, to me, the key part of the hookup is conductor, and they're going to license that, and there's going to be revenue. I think what Railtown is bringing to the table is conductor. I think what AI Partnerships is bringing to the table, to not minimize other players, is John Ruffalo. So if you have Ruffalo and conductor, I think you got a wiener, a big wiener, a big wiener. My second thought is they have already purchased them because the article yesterday had both. Yes, Brandon, I think that's the best assumption. If I had to guess, I'd go with your second guess. I would say they've already, all the terms are agreed, everything's knocked out, and it's the bloody attorneys proving that if they went to Stanford, it's just as good as if they went to Harvard. Once they get through measuring each other's personal bits to each other, it'll get finished. And I think we're closer to having the deal finished than not. That's my opinion. I know I didn't say that yesterday. I was pretty hot and pissed off. But I think all parties are probably, and it's a guess on my part, are all racing to get it done this week, to get it done in July, to get the announcement out by the end of July. What could delay that is attorneys. It's just a fact. Attorneys, or maybe a signature somewhere, like Bill's attorney said, maybe, a board member had a heart attack and had to be reached at a hospital. I don't know. But if they don't get it done by the end of July, I think whoever is working on it will stay off of her vacation long enough to finish it next week. I don't think they're going to let it go to September, even though that's, in my anger, that's what I was saying yesterday. Partly I was telling you to get ready for September is to fight the shorts, because the shorts work when we're urgent, when we're watching every single trade. That's when the shorts panic us. And so if we can steel ourselves to wait till October or November, none of this will matter. I think Railtown, by December 15th, I think it could be between $25 and $50 a share. Now, does that YouTube guy keep raising his numbers and sucking you in and giving you new dates? I'm Tony. Make sure you have no dinero. I told you it was a bad deal at 25 cents, but now I've talked to the company and I'm telling you it's a good team. But Tony, make sure you have no dinero. Don't understand how they're going to get a deal done. Therefore, I think it's just like Nixie. What the hell is that guy smoking? You got to recognize that guy works for the shorts. I am not a short. Everybody says I didn't say he is the short. He's not smart enough. He's lazy. He couldn't be the short. He couldn't go raise money. He just works for the shorts. Can I help you, sir? I got to pee. Maybe they have, Brandon says, maybe they have completed the deal, but haven't announced it yet because they are working on a bigger deals to finalize and complete it all. I mean, anything's possible, Brandon, but I would guess that the biggest bang for the buck for all of the employees and shareholders at Railtown and the original investors at there and at AIP and the principals, I think the biggest bang for the buck is to combine the companies and prove up the revenue model. Because if they sell now, what revenue number do you plug in at the top of this chart if they sell now? I don't think you plug in 200 million. I think it'd be much better to work for 18 months, get it to 200 million, and hope the multiples are still there. But the word about these multiples, I caution you on these multiples. I think those multiples are out there for 18 months, give or take 6 months. Those are multiples, those high multiples, once all the money's invested or all the institutions are sated, the multiples will come back down. Or if we get a correction in the overall market. So it's going to be an art, not a science. The guys at Railtown and AI Partners, when they're linked up, they're going to have to play a dance with themselves saying, you know, we could get this to 300 million if we work for the next 6 months, or we could sell it right now at 150 million in revenue, and we have a buyer that's willing to pay 20 billion. But if we wait, maybe we can sell the company for 30, 35 billion. But on the other hand, the multiples might shrink. So there's not going to be a perfect answer. They're gonna, I think, take the deal that gives them the best ratio between a huge return and a partnership that can prove out the validity of their concept. And remember, an acquiring company brings a sales force, brings captive developers that pay every month, brings engineers, brings marketing, brings strategy, and brings credit lines. So that's another aspect they'll have to put on. But no, Brandon, I don't think there's a bigger deal pending. I could be wrong, but I don't think we saw it happen with Windrift, I guess, but I don't think there's a bigger deal pending. That'd be a nice problem, wouldn't it? I just don't see it. I think it's far more valuable to go up the hockey stick by proving revenue than trying to guesstimate it now. Having said that, Brandon, I wouldn't be surprised at an acceleration of deals getting done. And I'm not predicting it, but it's possible that Railtown is done and dusted in 9 months. And you guys are sitting on a huge win, as you call it. And that's why I fight so hard against these criminals. And the attorneys don't understand the risk they're putting you through. Because I think there's a lot of you who are saying, screw this, it doesn't feel good. That's emotions. Somebody accused me the other day of being an emotional investor. I'm not. I get emotional when I'm defending you and when I get upset about the crime. And sometimes my blood just starts pounding. But in terms of investing, I very much try to give it a rational decision and stick with that rationality. I do not try to, every now and then, like MMTLP or a couple of other, like COSM, I got caught up in the emotions of the minute, and I did a little bit. But with COSM, I got out essentially break even. I either lost a tiny bit or made a tiny bit. MMTLP, it looks like I lost everything, but what I sold was GTII, and that's a complete wipeout. So I don't know, guys. Playing these stocks, the only people that win are the companies and the IR people and the so-called bankers and the shorts, but not you. You don't work. You don't win. Brandon, do you think we should call AI Partnerships and ask them about their partnership with Railtown? may find. You can call them. I certainly am not going to tell you not to, but I don't think they can give you any material information that's not public. So I think it's probably a waste of time. But you can get color, you can get a sense of confidence maybe, and maybe they let something, a bon mot, slip their lips, but I'm not going to put pressure on the company. I mean, I'm just an asshole YouTuber. I'm not going to, they don't owe me any explanation, either company. But Brandon, it's all there. I mean, we don't have to be nervous Nellies, although I understand it. The news announcement to me yesterday said everything. They're working together. To me, it's pretty clear the critical points of the tie-up are agreed. But we're looking at the stock price and we're saying, oh, I want to know for sure. Well, that's just whining. And I whine, I get upset. The reason the stock price is down has nothing to do, Brandon, with whether or not the deal is being completed. It has nothing to do with the tie-up between Railtown, AI Technologies, and AI Partnerships Corp. That's not why the stock is down. The stock is down because it's in a bloody quiet period. All of the big investors cannot buy. All of the insiders cannot buy. All of the people who understand Almers and understand technology cannot buy. Anybody associated with the Canadian government and the Canadian partnerships cannot buy. Insiders cannot buy. Canaccord Genuity cannot have their institutional sales force or their retail sales force solicit orders from family offices, mutual funds, other pools of money, retirement plans. They can't solicit orders. They can't solicit orders from their retail or their big high net worth. They can't put Railtown into managed accounts. There's no buying. That's why the stock is down. Has nothing to do with the status of the partnerships. There's just no buying. Why? Because the attorneys can't get their job done. But it's okay. They're working on it. They're doing the best they can. And it's the process. And when the documents are done or finished, I assume they'll be great. And enforceable. So that's good for all of us. But talking to the company to find out if the partnerships are working or the deal is done, that's not going to make the stock go up. The stock is here because people who know what the hell they're doing in the AI space and have the money, they can't buy. That's why. We're a bunch of idiots compared to them. And we're nervous money. We're weak hands. And that's just a fact. And the other reason the stock is down, sometimes oxygen makes it go away. That's very painful. That's very painful. The other reason the stock is down is they're selling stock that doesn't exist. So you've got a lot of selling that doesn't exist. The shares don't exist, and you've got no buying. The only way that changes, Brandon, is when the lawyers finish their work. I don't know how to hurry up an attorney. I really don't. $8.08. Kryptonian grabbed 1K more. Good for Kryptonian at 49 cents. That's great. You and Pete said you could buy it cheaper, and you did. I'm really impressed. That's great. It's great. Not cherries, tart cherry juice every day. That's good. I'll get it. I'll go buy tart cherry juice. And I'll start dating some tarts. Make sure they're not sugar and spice. That's awesome. Awesome, William Wallace. I'm so glad. It looks like 5 or 6 people added. That's fantastic. Take methylene blue. That'll take care of everything. Well, arsenic might cure it too. If I had the YouTube conductor, yeah, that's true. I'd love somebody to teach me how to use an AI so I could have somebody produce my, CJ Yukon. Just when we think it can't go lower. I know. That's what makes me mad. That's why I was mad yesterday. Because it was obvious yesterday that they were going to be successful. Yeah, I mean, they can sell as many shares as they want. And no one cares. It's a real sadness. The markets didn't used to be this way. The markets didn't used to be this way. Conductor, that's it. I think Tony gets scripts to promote and discourage everybody, and just reads them off. That may be. I just don't want you to listen to him, but he'll say, "What? My opinion, is he telling you not to listen to me because is he afraid of the truth?" What Tony says is so far from the truth, you might as well not listen. But if you hear a good point he makes, ask me about it. I'll talk about it. There may be some truth to that. Sounds plausible. I don't remember what I said or what somebody else said. Emil added, wow, Emil, bravo. So by my count, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people added today. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Just remember, they want your stock. They want your blood. They want your soul. And they want it now. I'm your Huckleberry. They want that stock. And they're doing everything they can to get it. I'm very ineffectively trying to get you not to sell and buy more. And I feel like I'm about to pass out. So I might just look and see if there's anything to discuss. And then I might just go lay down. I wish it didn't hurt so much. What scares me is walking from here to the couch. Wow, Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern are merging. You know, that's a lot of that's about. That's about reshoring industry. It's about Earl. It's about Earl and transportation. It's fantastic. Oil prices are spiking. America's power grid is vulnerable, but please, let's keep sending our money to the Middle East because those people have been bearing grudges for thousands of years. And that's the best thing we can do with that money. They're going to cut back Social Security within 6 years. But please, let's keep supporting one country in the Middle East. I get so tired hearing you talk about it. Oh, all right, let's see what else is out there. My head hurts. My head hurts. Wow, guys. Wow. My head is hurting. I think Frank Benedetto put out that he's adding to his Railtown here today, so that's positive. Tony DeNaro said, when you hear a Railtown stock promoter, I'm not a stock promoter for Railtown, attempt to manipulate people by saying, quote, if you get out today at these low prices, you might not be able to get in. This is Tony. This is the sum of how he's looking out for you. Your first thought is, Puzzled Raccoon says, well, it's Railtown. That's the closest they could come to naming a company Bend Over. Oh, that's hilarious. Puzzle Raccoon is funny. Tony says, I actually like he's not trying to have it both ways. I actually like the company and the product. You know why? Because he wants updates so he can warn his friends. Just waiting to see how this AIP acquisition is structured. So he's going to wait till the stock's $2 before he comes out with an affirmative, assuming it goes through. His little digs, his little whispers. So reasonable, Tony. Wants to make sure you have no money. Still, to tell someone, quote, you won't be able to get back in, unquote, I didn't say that. He changed my quote. Up top, he says, if you get out today at these low prices, I didn't say that either, by the way. You may not be able to get back in. I did say that if you get out on a squeeze at $7 or $8 and you sell it and you try to buy it back lower, you may not be able to get back in. May not be able to get back in. Why? Because institutions come buy it up. So my point is, you may not be able to reestablish your position. You may buy some at a higher price, but you miss out on the benefit of a large position today. He's misquoting me on purpose. He's not on your side. He works for the criminals. He's trying to increase fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and he's trying to have it both ways. Still, to tell someone, quote, you won't be able to get back in, unquote, which I didn't say. So maybe he's not talking about me. Seems like a dangerously false statement, especially when showing them a whiteboard today saying the 55-cent ticker is going to 179. I didn't say that. Did I tell you it's going to 179? Did I say that? I don't see 179 here. You know where I see 179? I see 179 here. The 179 here refers to the number of people in the stock. It's not a target. This right here is not a target. That's the number of people in the stock. Having said that, I wouldn't be surprised if someday the company sells for $175. I wouldn't be surprised with that. But that's years away. That's 2 years away. And then Platinum says, my thought is, quote, what would prevent me from getting back in? Like, how does that make any sense? She's a platinum blonde. She can't think. What prevents her from getting back in is the stock price goes up. She can get back in, she pays more. And she might not be able to buy as many shares. So she's a nitwit. And Tony says, I know, right? You know, and I think that mustache works. If by works you mean looks gay. And Lavender says, and if I may add, you were selling the farm at 28 cents. So how did that work out for you and the dummies that listen to you? Bravo, Lavender. Tony says, I don't give buy or sell instructions ever, and certainly not price targets on over-the-counter stocks. A false narrative. Try again. Scotty Park says, you are an AMC pumper, so what's that make you other than a hypocrite? VentCap, to be completely honest, anytime someone starts trying to present downside as a good thing to me, I become uninterested. I don't know what that means. The coyote with no name. Creating a false sense of urgency to close the sale is illegal. Doing it here to sell a stock is shady as hell. Well, if you feel like I'm creating a false sense of urgency, you can miss out. Vic Vega Capital, sounds like you were trying too hard for some reason on this stock. You are short is my guess. Lavender, maybe will means not get a full stack of chips again. Lavender is smart. Exactly what I mean. Try and bid 100,000 worth of shares and rock it to $1. Lavender's a smart kid. Lavender is using her noggin. So Patience Swings puts out, this partnership opens the door for future collaboration with other members of the AI Partnership Corp's growing global network of affiliates who provide AI-based solutions and tools addressing various vertical market sectors, said Dr. Tom Core. This partnership is another notable example of the AI partnership's affiliates leveraging their technical strength and worldwide presence, said Dr. Tom Core. Barbara wrote, another million share R. William. I don't know if she's positive or not. I'll assume she's positive. Car Jockey says, looks like I was right. Dips are not going to last long. unless you're the dip you're talking about is Tony De Niro. Car jockey is loading. Frank Benedetto said, oh, that's 6 days ago. But he's buying. He's buying. All right, so let's go to the top of what Tony, make sure you're broke De Niro is saying. You guys, if you want to listen to him, you can always buy Railtown at $4 or $5. You can. If you want the comfort of having Tony's brain power tell you it's a good stock to buy, but he's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. All the good doctors are moving to concierge type service. That's why we need to stick with Railtown. So we can pull out of here to win. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, Thunder Road. Thunder Road. The screen door slams. Mary's dress waves. Actually, it sways. I always get that wrong. Like a vision, she dances across the porch as the radio plays. Roy Orbison singing for the lonely. Hey, that's me, and I want you only. Don't turn me home again. I just can't face myself alone again. Don't run back inside, darling. You know just what I'm here for. So you're scared and you're thinking that maybe we just ain't that young anymore. Show a little faith. There's magic in the night. You ain't no beauty, but hey, you're all right. And that's all right with me tonight. You can hide neath your covers and study your pain. Make crosses from your lovers. Throw roses in the rain. Waste your summer praying in vain for a savior to rise from these streets. Well, now, I'm no hero, and that's understood. All the redemption I can offer, girl, is beneath this dirty hood. With the chance to make it good somehow. Hey, what else can we do now? Except roll down the window and let the wind blow back your hair. Well, tonight's busting open, and the 2 lanes will take us anywhere. We got one last chance to make it Railtown, to trade in these wings on some wheels, climbing back. Heaven's waiting down on the tracks. Oh, come take my hand. We're riding tonight to case the promised land. Oh, Thunder Road, Thunder Road, oh, Thunder Road. Lying out there like a killer in the sun. Hey, I know it's late. We can make it if we run. Oh, Thunder Road, sit tight. Take hold, Thunder Road. Well, I got this guitar and I've learned how to make it talk. And my car's out back if you're ready to take that long walk. From your front porch to my front seat. The door's open, but the ride ain't free. And I know you're lonely for words that I ain't spoken. Tonight we'll be free. All the promises will be broken. There were ghosts in the eyes of all the boys you sent away. They haunt this dusty beach road in the skeleton frames of burned out Chevrolets. They scream your name at night in the street. Your graduation gown lies in rags at their feet. And in the lonely cool before dawn, you hear their engines roaring on. When you get to the porch, they're gone on the wind. So Mary, climb in. It's a town full of losers. And I'm pulling out of here to win. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. My foot's feeling better. I don't know why. It's got a numb feeling. How about, it won't be long, yeah, yeah, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, yeah, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, till I belong to you. Every night when everybody has fun, here I am sitting all on my own. It won't be long, yeah, yeah, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, yeah, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, till I belong to you. Since you left me, I'm so alone. Now you're coming on home. I'll be good like I know I should. You're coming home, you're coming home. Every night the tears come down from my eyes. Every day I've done nothing but cry. It won't be long, yeah, yeah, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, yeah, yeah. It won't be long, yeah, till Railtown. That's about the extent of that song. I added 190. That's pretty good. I added 190. Steve's in, like Flynn. You're making me nervous. Get checked out. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Hey, Ted. This medication is some sort of, it's some sort of, what do you call it? Pesticide or something. It's really nasty stuff. It's called natural something or other. But it's prescribed by a doctor. Are things proscribed or prescribed? My ankle looks like Donald Trump's. It won't be long, yeah, yeah. It won't be long. I'd play that song, except the Beatles, I think, don't let you play their songs at all. I see I've got 3 lives going. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to. Let's see if we can listen to a little bit of John Ruffalo.
Back to its center, and when you say center, I would say from an economic policy perspective, and he actually even seems to be a little bit of center right, which will be very interesting to see what is the daylight then. If that statement is true, what will be the daylight between the conservative and liberal parties on a go-forward basis?
What do you think those policies are? Because you wrote about this in the Globe and Mail. What do you think the policies are that needs to move right away?
Well, it was fascinating. This is the part of the op-ed I wrote, and it was 3 pillars. Pillar 1 was you got to manage the spend, right? And people, of course, had a heart attack and was immediately interpreting as cutting of services because they're looking at what Musk was spouting off in the United States, but rather it was the massive growth of the public sector, far disproportionate to the growth of the economy, and the inefficiencies, the lack of adoption of technologies, etc. So you gotta manage government efficiently like you would any sort of business.
So do you think we're going to have a Doge equivalent here?
No, I don't think we have a Doge equivalent, but what was interesting, that was the big attack early on against Polyev, and you saw Carney's first statement was looking at managing costs in government and introducing technology. I found that fascinating. That wasn't really stated before. Now it is. Reading a little bit of the tea leaves. Now,
so you're a technology guy, and you've made
yes.
a lot of money investing in technology. Do you think that artificial intelligence can actually help us improve the government, services and bring down expenses to the extent that Carney's been sort of suggesting? Keeps on saying, well, artificial intelligence. Is it actually going to help us?
Well, people love to go to the sexy memes of artificial intelligence. I would just deal with intelligence first. So let me give you an example. At the most mundane levels, and most businesses are now adopting it, is try calling CRA and let me know how long you're in the line. Let me know if the only organization that I've experienced in the past 12 months where there was actually a busy signal. I didn't even think those existed anymore. What do companies use? They use chatbots, or they use all online call center folks. And so many of the questions that CRA handles, and what typically comes out when you do analysis for private companies, 80% of the questions are the same 6 questions.
Yep.
So you adopt technology to offload so many folks. There is no reason why we increase employment in the CRA by 40% in 5 years. Like, it was crazy. Now, and the question will be, and again, people jumped to a cut in services, but at the end of the day, taxpayers are owed a responsibility that when our hard-earned money, when it goes to the government has a responsibility to spend it efficiently. And that is step one, and Carney has said he will do that. I think that, the fear of what Musk is doing in the United States is not going to translate here. It's a very, very different environment, and frankly, here in Canada, that's not what the expectation was from either party.
What specific policies do you think he needs to work on? Clearly, the visit to Washington and to President Trump is to work on tariffs and USMCA. But he's getting lots of pressure on pipelines, on infrastructure, on housing. Yeah. What do you think of those policies?
Yeah. So this is the prosperity agenda for Canada, right? And this is the part that has frustrated me, Brian. You and I have chatted about this for a long time. Is Canada needed to deal with its own backyard over the last decade. And frankly, I'm not even blaming the last decade. It's really been a compounding problem over the last 3 decades. Canada, from an economic perspective, has gotten fat and lazy. And from that perspective, we've done the easy thing. We've imported from the United States. We've relied upon job creation when foreign-based multinationals come into Canada. We didn't think about economic nationalism, and I don't say that from ownership of state property. I'm saying this about we need to build things. We need to build companies here and have the jobs here. It doesn't mean that we don't go internationally, but it means owning the rights here, owning the intellectual property here. We've forgotten all about this. And while we're not going to be doing this right now, at some point in time, we're gonna say thank you to Trump. Not because what he's doing is completely chaotic and no explanation. He's finally allowed Canadians to realize how exposed we are when you have a supposed friend in another government. But we should always remember there's no friends that are other governments. They all serve their own constituents and purpose. And the real issue for Canada is we allowed ourselves to be that exposed. And and the truth of the matter is, and it's great that we got to try to calm this individual down in the White House, but there is nothing in our control in Canada that is going to change the minds in the United States directly. They will do what they want to do. Right now, they're frankly not even thinking about Canada. They're actually thinking about China right now. So, because Canadians cannot control the actions of the White House of the United States, what we can control is building great businesses here. And as a technology guy, I can tell you, start with your greatest advantages, and that's natural resources. It pains for me to say that, but that's the truth of the matter. And in the short term, what does that mean? Focusing in our oil and gas and mining and our geographic defense. These are the very immediate things to deal with and will deliver the greatest dollars. It doesn't bring you long-term sustainable prosperity there. Canada's role as a player in the digital economy will, but we can't just jump there. And if we get the right building blocks done right today, build things here, consume things here in Canada, we will have to focus in on import substitution. So maybe, Brian, you might like your California wine, but maybe you're going to like your BC wine or your Prince Edward County wine. And it's okay.
I love BC wine, but I can't buy it.
Well, then, right. So, there's also another reason in there. The actual size of the market of BC wine is very, very small. And they're actually having issues with respect to not only fire, but for infestation. But the point is, we talk about the auto industry. The auto industry, in my view, was really gone in 2009 in the financial crisis. And remember, we paid, I can't remember the number, $13 billion to bribe them to stay. But the reality is we were relying on a U.S.-based company to provide that economic input. Why didn't we consider at that time to build something here in Canada? I know that we had that great project, the Agro project. I love that. It was, couldn't we do stuff like this in Canada? Why not, right? Why don't we build the things here? And I think now we're going to be thinking about that, consuming it here, and also diversifying the exporting of those goods that we build here. And if anybody thinks that we're going to, disassociate with exporting the United States, is in dreamland. Right now in Ontario, it's almost 80% of our exports. What number should it be? Is it 70%? Should it be 60%? It won't be zero. And yes, we should be diversifying, but the truth of the matter is geographic proximity and integration of supply chains matter. So the U.S.
I was hoping he'd say something about technology.
Accepted that the next 2 years.
Do you think he's smarter than Tony DeGennaro? Or does Tony smarter? What about a horse warmer? Dewormer. Yeah. What about just getting run over by a horse? Maybe a couple of gulps of gasoline with a match. All right, everybody. It's 5:16. I think I might just try to go lay down. Or do I lie down? You lay the table. Oh. Wow. I just wanna lie down. I want this pain to end. So I'm gonna sign out. I wish everyone peace. I wish that Donald Trump follows through on his commitment to feed and clothe and help the children and women, particularly of Palestine. If he thinks about it, he can help some of the men too. And I hope there's peace around the world. And I'm just gonna, take a break. So peace to everybody. Ciao.